And I wanted to double check with you ahead of time if you're okay with me. Obviously, this is an audio podcast, so are you okay with me using the video for promo material or bonus material at all?
Fine, yeah. Who's the funny little man down here?
Oh, down here?
Yeah.
Oh, let me show you. There's two of them, actually.
Oh. Well, that's Slash. No,
you're getting warm. I don't know. Take a look.
Oh, Jimmy Page.
Not quite.
Oh, I know. Bon Jovi.
You got it.
Yeah. Is the other guy Sambora?
It is Sambora. So.
Okay. You can always tell Bon Jovi by the hair. Yes.
Yeah. I love my little knickknacks, my action figures. So thank you, gentlemen, for spending some time with me today.
It's all right. Pleasure.
Richard and Fred. And I wanted to thank you for putting out music right now to make the world brighter in a dark time. Because I'm very excited you have a new EP coming out called Good Times, Everybody.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yeah, we kind of felt, we had the Good Times, Everybody we had floating around for a while, the song. And we weren't really sure how to deliver it. And then during the lockdown, I've been stuck in the UK because my wife is in Barcelona, but I can't go back. Oh. So we thought we'd be creative and use the time effectively. So and we wanted to cheer ourselves up. So that's the point of that track. Also, we when we looked through all the old footage of gigs, you for the video, you forget really quickly how fantastic it is when a whole bunch of people are in a field together having a good time, and we forget that stuff too easily. And so we just thought it would be a good reminder that this is what normal life is like. This is not to be cherished, what's going on right now. Yeah.
That's exactly what we need to hear again, because you can get really bogged down in the negative. So
yes, you can. Yes, it's too easy. It's too easy. Yeah.
So, have you started putting the EP together before and the COVID pandemic, or was it like something like, were you thinking of doing new music already before this?
Yeah, we were thinking of doing this last year. Then we got involved in a project with Universal Europe. And that sort of distracted us, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. Which is why we avoid major labels as much as we can. So once that project finished, we decided, and then we sort of had the tracks ready, and the only one we had to finish was Good Times, Everybody. We needed a rewrite, so we did some rewriting. Tide is the second track. We've had that finished for about a year. Yeah. And Lapdance Junkie is an acoustic version of a song from an album called Fred that was a big album for us in Europe in 2001. And we did it as an acoustic track because we really liked the song. Yeah. And I think Fred did a really good job on the lyrics on that particular song. Yeah. I'm not saying all the other lyrics are rubbish. I'm just saying that particular song worked well. So we've been, and we tend to write all the time, and we don't, you have to keep moving and coming up with new ideas, and that's what keeps you going, particularly in a period like this. Yeah. Where you read the news too much, it's so depressing. Right. It's better just to we sort of wallow in music a little bit, I think. What's so good? I'm Too Sexy has dominated our career. Who wrote that? I don't know. So, and as much as
never heard it before.
Never heard of it before. And as much as we love that song, it is just so overbearing sometimes. Yeah. We get labelled the one-hit wonder, even in territories where we've had multiple hits and multiple hits with albums, we still get labelled one-hit wonder, irrespective. People just like to use that term. And so we try and put out content whenever we can, just to try and balance things up a bit. But it's a hard task, I've got to tell you. People do say, write it. Yeah, can you play? Can you? They do, honestly. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's like making music is an international thing. I mean, just because a song's big in one country or 50 countries doesn't mean that you didn't have like 10 more hits in other places.
That's exactly right. Yeah. But people think locally, and that's up to them really. But you're right. I mean, it's more than ever now. It's global because of you put this like this. You put something out on YouTube. It's not territory by territory. It's a global platform. So that doesn't really apply anymore, unless someone just is a one-hit wonder globally. Then, and that does happen.
Yeah.
The country as big as America. I can remember interview to assess which songs were big in New York, but not just in.
We're just having a little bit of a freezing problem here in the connection.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Can you guys hear me okay? I just had a little bit of a freezing there. Yeah, just the video froze for a second.
Yeah, we can hear you and see.
Okay.
All right. It's okay now. This end is, yeah.
I can hear you. Your video's frozen, but that's okay as long as I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
We're back in business.
Okay. Good. Yeah. So with the EP, I mean, we sort of, like I said, we got sidetracked by Universal last year, and so that's why this out this year. And also we've got because we do get asked to sign to major labels fairly regularly because of our back catalogue. We refuse to do that. So the way we try and counter that is by putting out product and putting out songs, because for us as a small independent band, all we need is one of those songs to be picked up in a commercial, a movie, a game. So for us, a hit record is not a song in the charts. It's a song that pays for itself. It's a song that to record a song, if it's, let's say, I don't know, $3,000 as an example, if that song is then sold to a car for a car advert, and they pay us $10,000, for us that is a hit record. So the idea of being in the charts for us, with this EP, we're not even paying pluggers. We're not doing that because radio, certainly in the UK, radio will not support us.
But also, if you free yourself up from all the other people that, whether it's pluggers or record companies or whatever it is, if you free yourself up from all that, excuse me, you can please yourself as to what you record.
Yeah, you can.
So what we've tried to do with this EP is to constantly think, what do we want to do? Because we've been in the habit of thinking, what do other people want us to do? But actually, the important thing is, what do we want to do? How do we want to sound? If a track is going to be 10 minutes long, then that's as long as it's going to be.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's a lot about artist integrity too, is that you're putting out music that you believe in. That means your fans will believe in it too. It's important to do that.
It is, yes. I think when you're at the end of when you're sitting in bed at the end of your life or whatever, and you look back, you won't be thinking, "Oh, I wish we'd done just one more TV show," but you might think, "I wish we recorded that song," or "I wish we'd done that." And from our point of view, that's how we see this. So we like writing, we like recording. Everything's in house. Rich and I play all the guitars. Richard plays bass, but sometimes we get a bass player in. Yeah. So, but we can do most of it with the help of an engineer we work with. So we're fairly self-contained, and we like that. We don't working with Universal last year was just so miserable, and and they go, "Oh, we don't like that guitar sound," and then it's probably not a guitar sound, it's probably a synth or something, and so it just did our heads in, and we just we accept walking away from major labels, you get marginalized. We do accept that, and that's the price you pay. But we're happy to pay that price.
Also, somebody was saying, I don't know who said it, the system was sort of turned around on its head. In the very, very early days, the artist would make music, and some guy would come along and say, "I reckon I can sell that." That was the relationship. Now the relationship is the other way around. The business guy is looking to the artist and saying to the artist, "Can you make stuff that I can sell?" That's a different relationship.
Yeah, completely different dynamic.
It's a different dynamic. In the same way as the talent shows on the TV, the reason talent shows rarely produce anything even remotely interesting is because the audience is following the singer or the performer. They're following the singer. Sorry, it's the other way around. The audience determines what the singer does. The singer's not out front leading the charge, or the performer. It's the other way around. It's the audience voting for the singer, so the singer has to keep the audience happy. So you won't get, you know, you won't get Lou Reed coming out of that area. You won't get, the
Talking Heads,
or Velvet Underground or
Kraftwerk.
You know,
no innovation. No innovation.
No, because it's controlled by the judges. The judges know what they want to sell. The dynamic is all upside down. But yeah, so we're sadly we can't promote this EP with shows. So we're not going to do any virtual shows because we've watched some other people do virtual shows.
Horrible.
I think they're miserable, and I think they're absolutely horrible. And it doesn't matter. I watched the Stones. I love the Rolling Stones, but I thought the virtual show just sucked. And as much as I love them, it lets you have that relationship with the audience. It's a give and take. You know, when you're doing it virtually, they did their best and good for them, but it's not for us.
Also, I kind of think we mustn't get into the habit of thinking that's okay.
Or that's normal.
That's
normal.
not.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, it stinks.
You know, you hear this expression, the new normal. It's not. There's no such thing.
There's
normal. There's abnormal. That's it.
There's something so missing when there's no interaction with an actual audience.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like
yes.
for the artists too, like being on stage, that can't feel right.
Exactly.
No, it's like a dry hump.
Yeah.
It's just.
We were watching. There's some footage of the Beach Boys in 1982, I think, on July the 4th. It's obviously a big July the 4th party thing, and it's just so cool. They're doing "Help Me, Rhonda," and it's absolutely brilliant. It's a sunny day. The band rolled in. Some of the band, I mean, they're the only band that can wear yellow shorts and get away with it. It's
Wham.
It's true.
Wham, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose wham. And the audience are having an absolute blast, and it's really, really nice to see.
Great
really,
song.
really good.
Ringo's on drums.
Ringo's on drums. Yeah,
very good.
It's cool. Yeah.
I guess I had a couple questions about the songs too.
Right.
Like the song "Good Times, Everybody," and it has the essence of what you guys are throughout it, while still having the feel of a modern pop music as well. That's what I got out of it.
Yes.
So who did you work with on this track? Was anybody else brought in for that one?
No. I had the guitar riff. The da 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 da. I had that sitting around for a while. We were playing around with some chord progressions. We came up with this little 4-chord turnaround that we liked. And the lyric is about a lyric originally was sort of about the whole Brexit thing in the UK because because it divided the country. It was just horrible. Whether you voted Leave or Remain, it's irrelevant. It's just the animosity with it in the UK was miserable. So and then this lockdown happened. So we rewrote the song and put together a little tagline, which is the excuse me, "Good Times, Everybody," and so we had a girl called Kat Deal. She came in and did some backing vocals.
Gary on bass.
Gary Crockett played bass.
Yeah.
Then Richard and I played all the guitars. Richard and I did the rest. Richard did the lead vocal, and the drum. We tend to co-produce it with the engineer we work with. So and we use reference tracks. So we'll go and listen to a bit of Robin Schultz or maybe Calvin Harris or sort of four on the floor stuff we like. And Chainsmokers, bands like that. So we'll listen to them in terms of production, and think we'll nick that, or we like that, we'll copy that on little production ideas. But the writing and everything else is just us. Yeah.
Also, I think musicians, or at least I don't know whether it's true of every musician, but it's true of us. We tend to assume that everybody knows more than we do, right? So we find ourselves thinking, oh, I'll tell you what, we must get a bass player in for that. We need a drummer in for that. But actually, 90% of the time, we can do most of it ourselves.
We can't play drums.
But we can't play drums. No, we can't play. That's one thing we can't do. But I think I think probably maybe it's our history. We've just got used to the idea of delegating, and the less we delegate, the better, I think, overall.
Yeah, I think also it comes from when the band first kicked off, because of Sexy just went bonkers everywhere. We were trying to record an album, the first album, and promote the song. So you end up deferring because it's a physical impossibility to be touring the world and record the album. Which is why so many record labels like projects. They like boy bands and girl bands because they can send them off and sell the music, and the music is made without the artist, basically. not always, but sometimes.
It's sort of like a 50s thing. Remember, that's how it was in the 50s.
Yeah, with some artists,
With some artists, you know, you had the writers and then you had the performers. You know.
So what we got caught up in that. So ever since sort of the late 90s, early 2000s, we tend to take control of the writing, and to a degree some of the production. And now now we are in control 100%. So if it sucks, it's our fault. If it's good, it's our fault.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Taking full responsibility. I like that.
We do, yeah. And also we've got we have our little record label. Sorry, my coughing.
You got the old corona?
Yeah, shut up. Yeah. So we are our own publishing label and record label, and we work with a company called Phoenix in the UK, and they control everything digital for us, and they're very supportive. And so we had to make the decision: do we carry on with the celebrity? Do we go with the majors? Because, you know, carry on with the celebrity lifestyle, or do we just dial it back and do what we want to do? Mm-hmm. So we had to dial it back and do what we want to do. And I don't mean the music so much, because I love I'm Too Sexy and Don't Talk Just Kiss. And I love those early songs, but the way we sold them and the way we were sort of not manipulated, that's a bit unfair, but the way we did the whole celebrity thing.
No, it was happening.
Just, you know, I mean, now Richard still gets offered a lot of TV, and it's all cookery shows and quizzes and all that stuff.
Holiday.
And we just say no, because I just think it stinks.
Yeah. I mean, some people just need to be on TV, or they need to be in front of a camera.
Yeah, they like that. Yeah.
I mean, and good luck to them. It's not something that I'm wildly bothered about. I mean, if people want to take photos of the show or in the studio, that's absolutely fine. I'm cool with that. But I'm not so desperate to get in front of a camera that I'll do the kind of TV stuff that I don't really. There's one or two things I've wanted to do.
We did John Oliver.
Because
that was fun.
And that was fun. Yeah. And we still get. What was funny about that was the reason we did it was because some of our songs were on Bashir Assad's iPod, right? And so we went over there and did this thing, and we still get Syrian rebels writing to us saying thank you.
Yeah, so we have these photos of Syrian rebels
holding up
holding up posters of Right So Fred, saying thanks very much. It's really, so I get all these pictures from people sitting in rubble.
Wow.
It's absolutely mad. And I get a regular message from this guy, I can't even pronounce his name, and he says, when we're fighting, your music gives us more power. It's like, well, who would have thought that?
Yeah.
You know,
so we're not doing Bashir Assad's Christmas party?
No, we're not. No.
We won't be doing
that. The track Lapdance Junkie, which we were obviously discussing earlier, my favorite lyric is definitely the loving you is mentally exhausting. Because we've all been there, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. We had a sort of a dip at the end of the 90s where we didn't work and we didn't do anything, and I was basically just drinking too much, self-medicating, drinking too much, and I spent a lot of time in strip bars, a lot, and then also on the road when we're touring, we do, because you come out if you're in a little town and you're off stage at, let's say, 10:30 or 11. By the time you get back to the hotel, everything's shut. You can guarantee if there's a strip bar in the area, they'll be open. So we actually found ourselves in strip bars quite a lot. Although I'm not a big fan of them, what's great, you can sit and have a drink. The music is actually sometimes really good because it's quite often rock, sort of, you know, or some good sort of early disco. Yeah. So and you just people watch. You watch these people who, and particularly a lap dancing bar I went to quite a lot. There was one guy there, his girlfriend worked there, and he would sit there like for 7 hours watching her. It's just most bizarre. And so the song's about that. The song's about the addiction that some people have to, you know, the girls dancing. They think they're in a relationship. And so so that's the song came from that, from me and us spending quite a lot of time in strip bars. Yeah.
What a great idea to take that experience that you saw from your point of view and write about it. I love that.
Yeah, I actually had quite a lot of affection for those times. I met some of the girls were fantastic, and some were, you know, some were bonkers, and some were, you know, drug addicts. And others were, you know, others were just single mums trying to make things work, you know. And some were really smart, and some weren't so smart. It's the same with every walk in life.
Yeah.
And I just found the whole thing really, the culture of it was really interesting. And so that song came out of us going to those bars and meeting the girls, and particularly watching the punters, watching the guys. And some of them really thought they were in a relationship with these girls. It was just
one girl I seem to remember you telling me was the nurse.
no, yeah, I actually went out with this. I went out with one girl, and she was a nurse in the UK, and she used her nurse's uniform at the strip bar. So she would arrive. She would leave hospital, and she worked in A&E in the emergency. She would leave the hospital in her. She had this white thing, and I think they've changed it now to blue scrubs. But anyway, this was going back 20 years. And she would go directly to the strip bar, and she'd walk in her nurse's uniform, and dance in that for her first set. Yeah.
That's so authentic. I just love it.
No, it is, isn't it?
It's completely authentic.
Yeah, because she was a single mum. She lived with her mum, so her mum looked after her daughter, and she was trying to get out of this cycle, and wanted to get out of renting. So I think she did stripping for 2 years, got enough money for a deposit on a flat, and then stopped it. So quite sound economics, really.
Yeah.
I think it helped a lot of people go to school.
Absolutely right.
And set up their future. So
yeah,
go for it. If you feel comfortable doing it, do it. That's fine with me.
Well, exactly right. Yeah. Exactly.
Many years ago, we when the band first broke, we went to a bar in Amsterdam with our record company representative at the time, and she got drunk, or tiddly or whatever, and she ended up, do you remember?
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
dancing on the bar and taking all her clothes off.
She took all of her clothes off. And she got up at the bar. Yeah, bonkers.
Yeah. So there you go.
Funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it easier or more difficult to share your musical success with your sibling rather than a regular band?
For us, it's quite easy. I mean, we have disagreements quite regularly, but nothing major. We don't let it get in the way of family. So it's the most natural thing. We first went out on the road when we were 18, 19. And until we have these conversations, I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. It's just very natural for us to do it like this.
The only downside, creatively, is that sometimes it's nice to have a third person in the room, because that third person will say, that's rubbish.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? It's a bit like Paul McCartney when he was working with Danny, whatever the guy's name was now. But if you're working with Paul McCartney, unless you're close to him, you're not going to have the nuts to say, Denny Lane. You're not going to have the nuts to say, Paul, that is actually a rubbish idea.
Yeah.
You have some, you know what I mean? So when he works on his own, I think, he's a good example, it seems to me, of somebody who needs somebody in the room to say, actually, you need to do that vocal again, or actually, that's not such a great idea.
It's true.
So, you know what I mean? The ego and the reputation is so immense that if I was him, I'd be thinking, what do you know?
I think there's a chemistry with a lot of bands.
Yeah.
And you can see it when they try and do solo careers. Not sometimes it works, of course it does, but quite often the band environment is quite critical, and I think that can work well.
Yeah, yes, it can. Yeah. It's a bit like when they put supergroups together.
Yeah,
all the greatest players ever, and the music they make is kind of somewhat, so it's got nothing to do with. It's a bit like when you're watching the tutoring stuff on YouTube, and it's great players aren't necessarily the route to great music. It's not necessarily. I'm not sure Buddy Holly knew what a flattened third was, or whatever.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's that simplicity that is really hard to hold on to. That's the trick.
It's good to have people who will tell you the truth.
It is.
And a lot of people don't have that.
No, my wife is pretty blunt with stuff. So something I think is a good idea, she'll go, well, that's not very good. And I go, all right, okay.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
And other times, so if she likes a track, that means quite a lot, because she's got real sort of public ears. She really just hears pop music. She doesn't really. I mean, I suppose her favorite artist is Michael Jackson, but other than him, she is totally open. She doesn't care where the music comes from. She either likes it or she doesn't. She's not driven by fads, by brands.
Yeah.
She doesn't do any social media.
Wow.
So so she just hears the music, and she either thinks, yeah, I really like that, or I don't really like that.
Yeah.
It's like untainted eye. untainted ear. Like
Yes,
you
yeah,
can just see,
yes,
see it
yeah,
for what it is.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, she has.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that's difficult to hold on to when you're actually working in the studio, which is to distance yourself from what you're hearing and look at it objectively rather than get, sort of involved in the minutiae of it. And so that's why I guess producers are really valuable, because they can sit back and see it differently from the artist that's actually producing.
Absolutely, yeah.
As long as it's a producer that respects and sees your vision,
Exactly.
and not trying to twist it into.
Absolutely.
Well, that's
Like
Absolutely.
where you can hear it on the radio. So many songs sound the same because it's the same half dozen producers, same half dozen writers, and the same 3 record labels.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty depressing, really.
I mean, that what struck me when I first heard the Johnny Cash, one of the last Johnny Cash albums, Rick Rubin produced. It seemed to me he really understood Johnny Cash, really understood what the guy was about and what his message was, if you like, what his sound was. And for me, that album, particularly with Hurt on it, all that is absolutely mesmerising and it's brilliant. And he subsumed his own personal preferences to Johnny Cash, which is a producer's job.
Yeah.
But you're right, a lot of producers they have their vision which they want to promote rather than the vision of the artist.
Yep.
It's true. It's true. You'll see some of your favorite artists get started working with a new producer and something changes and it's like, oh, that's no good.
No, exactly. Absolutely. It's really true.
Tell me about finding out, the day you found out you had a #1 hit. What?
That's actually
in America.
In America.
In America, yeah. Billboard, sure, yeah.
Deeply frightening.
Yeah, we went on holiday because we'd just been working. The single kicked off in Europe, and so we'd been touring and promoting a lot. So I think it was in February '92 or January '92. We went to not Mauritius, we went to St. Lucia. And it was pretty unpleasant, actually. The people the hotel weren't particularly friendly. And so anyway, the vibe was wrong. So we just decided to leave. So we just went to the airport, St. Lucia airport, to wait for the first flight. And the first flight was to Miami. So we were there about 5 or 6 hours. And there was no one there. It was just us and a couple of friends and the lady behind the counter. And her phone starts to ring. And I can't remember who she asked for, but is a sounds. Yeah, I think she asked for a manager. So she said, "Is there a Tamsin and Rolovitz here?" So our Tamsin goes to the phone and she starts almost crying. So we imagine maybe a relation has died, or I don't know. Well, we didn't know what to think. And then she starts to shake and she said, "We've just got #1 in America." And and we were just like, holy fuck. And because also there was no budget. When we were with Charisma, and they were great with us, but they said we don't have, they had financial problems at the time, if I remember rightly. And they said we can release it and we can keep our fingers crossed, but there's no promo budget. We can't do the big TV ads so we had made the record with our own money. There was no record label. It was just an independent release. And suddenly this record's gone bonkers and it went top 40 on imports. And then Charisma picked it up and it went up the charts quite slowly. And so we thought, well, this is great, top 20. And then suddenly you see, well, there's something special about it, about #1 in America. There's just something very, very special about that. And as much as we like being #1 in the UK, that was great, with Deeply Dippy and other countries. But the thing in the US, I think it's because so many other markets are affected by the US. I think that's what it is. And just the physical size of it.
Exactly. Yeah. We came out of a diner in the middle of nowhere, in Texas. Yeah. And we just had breakfast or something in this diner, and walking down the little stairs down to the gravelly car park, and some bikers had arrived, some sort of Hells Angels type bikers. And we had never seen Wayne's World. We didn't know anything about Wayne's World. But these guys suddenly got on their knees and started doing the "We're Not Worthy" thing when they saw us walking out of the diner. What are they doing? I didn't understand it. And that was when Sex is Just #1.
Yeah, it was good. I have some very fond memories of that period. Partly, certainly when we first went to America on the back of from St. Lucia, because we weren't part of we hadn't gone there for promo. So we were just in Miami with about 3 weeks off. And it was just a very cool time, and we hired a car, and I think we had a convertible Thunderbird, I think it was, or Firebird. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I also, and the following week we were in the car when the DJ announced that we were #1 then. So driving through Miami in a convertible and hearing that your record's #1 in America, that's also pretty cool as well. So we were very, we were kind of blown away by the fact that it was just an independent record, and it just went mad. Yeah.
I'd love to hear about what it was like to perform for the Queen.
Yeah, well, it was weird because it's a thing called American audience may not know, but we have a thing called the Royal Variety Show.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. And what it is, it's that year's. You have the sort of established stars, then you have new arrivals, and it's new comedians, new singers, new magicians, whatever.
I'm sure the Queen hates it.
And the Queen, God bless her, sits in the. You do it at the Royal Palladium, which is about a 2,500, 3,000 seater. It's a pretty well-known theatre in London, and it's part of our tradition. It's been going on for decades and decades, and we did that, and we performed with the Muppets. Us and the Muppets did this joint sort of thing, and that was quite good fun. And then afterwards, you have to stand in a row, and the Queen walks along with what's called an equerry. And that is her advisor, if you like. And obviously, she doesn't know everybody; she just can't. So he whispers in her ear as she walks up, and she didn't have a clue where we were. And then she said, she looked at us. She said, "Are you brothers?" And Richard said, "Well, that's what Mum says." And she thought that was the funniest thing in the world. So the Queen just roars with laughter. She's the funniest joke she'd heard. And she's tiny. She's a tiny little lady. But she was lovely. It was just a very nice moment to meet her. And she was very pleasant, spent time with us chatting. And yeah, she just came across as a very nice little lady.
Yeah. I've heard she has a fantastic sense of humor.
Yes, Richard now lives in Windsor, whereas the castle is. And the Queen spends a lot of time here. And we know people that know her personally, and they say she's really witty and very, very amusing. Yeah.
I talked to a guy yesterday, and there's a pub right around the corner from the castle. And the other day, she was in there having a glass of sherry.
They have the guard standing outside.
And they have the guard standing outside to make
Why she has a
and
sherry?
apparently, I don't know what they say. I mean, I have no direct experience of this, but they say there are 4 tunnels from the castle to various pubs.
Yeah.
That date back,
Charles I started.
From Charles I, so they could visit their lovers and have a quiet drink and all that kind of stuff without having to be seen.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we know a lot about royal culture here. I don't know if you were aware that I'm in Canada. So,
oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm in Canada. I wasn't sure if you were told. So we always get royal visits and.
Oh, of course, you're Commonwealth. Yeah.
Commonwealth.
Sorry, I just saw the different numbers come up, and on the email we were sent, and it had US. So I got to. Where in Canada are you?
We're in Western Canada, in Edmonton.
Oh, we played there last year.
We played there last year.
Which were you at the festival?
Yeah.
Yes.
We played a festival last year.
Yeah.
We played Edmonton,
Vaughan,
Calgary. Yeah, played a few. Yeah. We had in fact this time last year.
It was about this time last
year. It would have been. Yeah, it was the summer festival there.
Yeah. That was really good fun. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, good memories in Canada. Then I'm glad. I hope
we do.
So really like Denny's.
Yeah. At 3 a.m.
Yeah, when we first went into Denny's, we went through the little booths and you can't move the chair and all that kind of stuff. We weren't quite sure, but then it really grew on us and we found ourselves eating in Denny's most of the time. Yeah.
Well, Right Said Fred had a large role in bringing sexuality to the forefront with your music and the videos. Did you feel you championed like gay rights issues and helped people feel comfortable coming out at that time?
I think Richard did. Yes, I think coming out publicly in the 91, he came out on the front of the biggest newspaper in the UK, and a lot of artists at the time who it was obvious they were gay, but they were refusing to say they were. And so Richard coming out very public and saying that he was made a huge difference, I think, to people. And I think they felt supported. in particularly, we got quite a few letters from people living in the suburbs and living in small towns, not so much from the cities, but people who felt isolated or they didn't feel they fitted in. Yeah, we got quite a few letters from those people.
Yeah, I could never really understand the controversy around it. I couldn't. It was always a mystery to me why it was such a big issue. I couldn't really understand it. And I think the thing that drove me to be more open was the fact that I'd been with my partner, Stuart, who's sadly passed now. But at that time, I'd probably been with him for about 15 or 20 years. And so I took our relationship very seriously. He taught me in a way to take it seriously. And so it wouldn't have been right for him or to him if I'd been, shy about admitting where I was. It would have undermined him as a person, I think. So I think being with him changed. I think if I'd been single, I might have been a bit more closeted. I think being with him forced me to take it seriously and to be open.
Do you think that it was more of an American concept that people were closeted than it is in Europe? Do you think that people are more free with their sexuality?
Depends where you are.
I think
Depends where you are.
Yeah, you go southern Italy is not very free at all.
Yeah.
Same in southern Germany, parts of Spain. You've got to be a bit careful. Certain Eastern Germany it can have its issues.
Also, the gay aspect of it was much more pronounced in America. Much more. In the UK, it was much more family driven. And I can remember on one occasion we did a show for a big radio station over here, and we just finished. And I was sitting in the car waiting to go, and this father came striding across the green towards me, dragging his 8-year-old son, or his young son, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to get into real trouble here. You've been sexually arousing, blah, 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 in front of my son, and whatever it was. Anyway, I opened the window a crack, and it turned out he was being really nice. He just said, it's so nice to have a performer talk about sexuality, if you like, or to be sexual without it being dirty in a way or threatening. Right? It was, in a way, I'm Too Sexy is the seaside postcard version of Prince's Cream. Prince's Cream was sex in a very earthy, very visceral way. I'm Too Sexy is sex in a very cartoon way. And I think that's how we got away with it. I think. And
the song is making fun
of being
sexy.
Yeah.
It's not us thinking we're sexy. We're making fun of people who think they're sexy.
Yeah. People who take themselves super seriously about how hot they are.
Yes, that's exactly. Some people, I mean, we've actually we've got a new song, which will be on the next EP, and it's sort of approaching that same subject, and it's not a million miles from sexy in its sound. It sounds very quirky, and that's, I just find how some people think being good looking is a really, 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 it's a huge burden. And this, and they're suffering, for God's sake.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So that's what the sexy was about. It was about that hedonism and self-indulgence.
But in the UK, it was more of a family. The appeal of the band and that song was family driven, really. And it was only when we went to America that the gay thing became such a big issue. It wasn't until we got there that it really struck me as being a thing. In fact, in the UK, we were booked into a lot of gay clubs and stuff at the very beginning, because our record label just assumed we would have a huge gay following, and we had to cancel them. Yeah, because we were dying of death in these gay clubs. But the minute we went to a straight club where it was just mixed women, it was fine. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, America was definitely, I think, in a different place yet. Where America's always in a different place, as we can tell right now, right?
Yes. I mean, when we played in Canada '92. We did quite a few different shows there and stuff, and the gay thing wasn't an issue at all.
No, not really.
I don't remember it being discussed even. We spent quite a lot of time in Toronto, and I don't remember it being an issue.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm forgetting something, but the States, they kind of they made a big deal out of it. Yeah.
Canadians are more open and more free, just to be who they are and express themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It was never. It never struck me as a big issue,
No,
particularly.
no.
And I think partly it's if you come across as a sort of, you know, deeply political, almost like an agitator, somebody who goes to gay bookstores, only reads gay books, only watches gay films, only goes to gay. If you're that kind of gay person, I think it can wind people up. But to me, it's just who people sleep with has got absolutely nothing to do with the work they do, the way they sound, the way they look. It's just a tiny part of their life. It's not. It doesn't define me any more than not having hair defines me. I don't. You know, it's not me. You know, it's just it's a small part of what I am.
Huh. That's good. I mean, I was going to bring up the Madonna thing because I read that she once said in an interview that she wanted to sleep with Richard. Did you ever meet her?
No, she's a woman with great taste.
That's right.
Poor eyesight.
And poor eyesight. Macular degeneration in the elder woman. I've never met her. I've always thought, not so much now, but there was a time when I thought if you could get her in a bar and put a few drinks down, she'd be really good fun to talk to and lower her guard. But it seems to me that in recent years her guard has gone so high up that you wouldn't ever get past it. And there's a guy on I can't remember his name now. I think it's Stein. There's a journalist who works out of Canada. He's actually Canadian, I think. He said you can always tell with Madonna when she's in a bad mood because she wears her hat at a tilt. She wears a berry at a slight angle. That's how you tell that she's being serious. Yeah. But no, I never did. I never. That's very, very sweet of her to say.
Where would you tell someone to visit who is a tourist in your hometown?
Where would I tell them to go?
Yeah, where would you tell visitors to come to visit?
Well, if they were here in Windsor, then they'd have to go to the castle.
Yeah,
because it's a remarkable building. And if they were in just the UK, I would tell them to go to the Yorkshire Moors.
Yeah,
because they're beautiful, and
Scotland
because it's truly magnificent. And in terms of London, then search out old London. Don't go. You need to go to the city. You need to go and what's the
Tower of London?
What's the Chancery Lane, and Lincoln's Inn. And you need to go. That's kind of where it starts. You know, going to and Soho used to be great. I mean,
it's been cleaned up.
It's been ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, Chelsea, Kensington, all those places are relatively new compared to old London. When you London originally was east.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you need to start. East London is where the interesting stuff is.
Yes, that's where you see, you know, where the hangings were, or where very famous landmarks that go back to Henry VIII and et cetera, et cetera. You don't really want to be going down Oxford Street or
no, it's much like anywhere else.
It's just like anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to visit London. It's on the bucket list.
It's a great city.
It is a wonderful city. But it's horribly expensive, and it's horribly busy.
Yeah.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Yeah. No, it'll be a while.
It'll be a while. Yeah, it will. This will go.
Yeah,
this will go.
How are you doing for time? I don't want to keep you too long.
Where are we? But another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Who have you met in the business that taught you the most? That was like an idol to you that excited you to meet?
I think Bob Dylan. Just because the guy's, he's not so much a performer, but he's just he's very in touch with who he is.
Yeah.
We did some work with Mick Jagger, and watching him rehearse was interesting because he focuses very, very much on his body language. Because the vocals he seems to almost rehearse separately, and so where the camera was, where he was on stage, was what was the main purpose of the rehearsals. It was kind of what they in acting circles they call it blocking, so you know where you're going to be at a certain point in the song.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anyone do that before.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of touring and just just the industry, it's more sort of casual conversations we've had with people who not just so much famous, but just doing it for a long time, and you just have to stay in touch with who you are, and that's why we made the decision to stay independent and all the stuff I talked about before, because when I watched some artists, I couldn't stand to be them. As for all their money, for all their success, I would go insane living that life. And particularly when we started, we toured with a guy called Wally Verson, and Wally was a tour manager for Queen
and
Guns N' Roses, and we learned a lot off Wally because he spoke to us in a very blunt way.
No show, no dough.
Yeah, and he was just, and we because we were very tired and touring, we acted up sometimes, and he would not entertain any of that bullshit. It was, this is a job, show your respect to the interviewer, the radio station, they've asked you along, don't be a prick, do as and we learned that from him, because you can get your head right up your backside thinking you're a star. And he was good for that position. But we haven't, in terms of watching other artists,
it's more to do with, for me, it's more to do when we work, met Paul McCartney or Bowie or whatever, you realise they're actually just people.
Yeah.
That's what they're just people.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney. Charlie Watts is 80 now.
79.
And he's just a bloke, and he's a great drummer and he's a bloke. And Paul McCartney's a great songwriter and he's a bloke. And it's that working with David Bowie for a few videos and stuff, and you just see he's just a guy making a living as a musician.
But they're focused, and we did some shows with James Brown. And he was just, he knew who James Brown was more than anybody else. He knew exactly what he had to do. He knew how to, the way he didn't go on and think, oh, what should I do today? I know some artists are a bit like that, but he was absolutely focused. He knew what the old audience wanted. He knew what he wanted to give them. And watching him was interesting. But most of our advice and learning has come from people on the other side of the industry, if you like, tour managers.
Yeah.
And not managers so much, but it's people who are experienced and just in the industry, and who aren't afraid to speak to you in a very. Some people just want to kiss ass because they want to be on your good side, but people who are confident, they'll just say, "You can't do this. You can't turn up drunk and do that. That is just crap." And we learned a lot on that tour.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there's tour managers and people in places that aren't just yes men.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We have a tour manager at the moment, a lady called Claire, and she speaks to us still fairly bluntly.
Yeah.
And if we're if we've drunk too much or we're being a bit, I don't know, whatever, selfish, she'll tell us pretty quickly, and that's fine. And we actually appreciate that. If we wanted an anarchist, we know loads of them, so we hire them. But it's good to work with people who are who stand their ground.
Yeah, and also learning your place within the equation. We wouldn't be able to do a show without Claire. We wouldn't be able to do the show without our sound man.
It's a team. It is a team.
It's a team, and the minute you lose that sense of where you are in the equation, and then you're lost. You are just part of a bigger picture.
Yeah, pissing off your crew is a really bad idea.
Yeah,
it's like important.
It's like walking into a restaurant, calling the chef an arsehole, and then asking for some food. It won't go well.
No. Exactly.
That's the same. If you piss off your crew, then you walk out on stage and expect things to go well, you'll probably come unstuck.
Yeah.
What
causes do you support?
Well, causes. Actually, quite a lot. Let me think. We do like monthly subscriptions to things, just in terms of that sort of involvement. So asthma and a stroke association. We do quite a lot of homelessness stuff, because I had to register homeless in 88.
Wow.
That's a pretty scary, unpleasant experience. And also we do a lot with cancer. Richard's partner had cancer. close friends have died from cancer. It's just, yeah, it's just so miserable. So we do a marathon every year. And I think the marathon itself has raised 10 million now, which is pretty cool. And what else do? We do sort of other just odds, bits and pieces when people we're involved at the moment in, there's a guy's got a charity and he's feeding the vulnerable and the sort of isolated because of the current situation. Right. So we've just signed a guitar, sent it to him, he's auctioned that. And then Richard helps out at helps out a local old people's home, goes down there and delivers food and papers and chats with the old people and stuff. So yeah, we try and do those sort of things. Yeah. So sometimes it's just money, and other times it's time.
Yeah.
We try and stay away from charity events because they're normally just vanity gigs for the promoters, right. And they're normally very badly organised. So we don't do that.
And I find, Sue, a lot of the money doesn't get where it needs to be.
Absolutely right.
No, absolutely.
Yep, right. We learned that the hard way. Yeah. So we don't do charity events. I'd rather just hand over some money or go and do something that's closer to our hearts, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say after our conversation, I do have a couple more questions, but I have so much respect for the both of you from where you're coming from with how you treat people and the way you look at music and your work ethic. I have utmost respect. So
thank you. Thanks.
What food item, clothing item, or toy, anything makes you nostalgic for the 90s?
Oh,
takes you back.
Oh,
okay, for the 90s.
Baggy jeans.
Yeah.
I used to wear jeans that were the same width at the bottom as they were at the top. Because now it's all skinny. And so these were sort of like almost like what used to be called bell bottoms, not quite, but they're quite baggy.
Yeah.
Certain types of dance music makes me nostalgic.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of house music there's a certain keyboard sound, which I think is the M1 keyboard, and that makes me really nostalgic. Food.
It's mum's cooking, I think.
I think home cooking.
I think mum's home cooking. Like mum used to do fairy cakes. Tiny little round sort of sponge cakes with an icing and a cherry on the top. And it's that kind of stuff that you never get. Once your mum's gone, nobody ever does that for you.
No, it's true.
So true.
That's the kind of thing I suppose I think of. And also mum used to do, when I look back, mum used to make spaghetti bolognese, which we'd have, I don't know, once a week. But the sauce was always just full of stuff that we hadn't eaten the night before. So you'd have spaghetti bolognese with sprouts.
Yeah.
Or spaghetti bolognese with peas or whatever.
Not very traditional.
Yeah. So it's that kind of home life stuff that I think makes me...
yes, I think so. I can't think of a toy or...
No.
I think, yes. I used to like there was a rollover from the 80s into the 90s in terms of fashion. And I quite liked some of the sort of the glam aspect of that. So you'd have let's try and think of an artist. You'd have what's the word? I'm trying to think of someone. Sort of the rollover from like maybe Michael Jackson or some of the dance stuff that was happening, and some of the what's the word I'm looking for? It was more a bit more entertainment based, and bands like KLF, their videos with the one they did with Tammy Wynette, that song.
Love it.
Yeah, great record. And so I'm sort of a little nostalgic for that stuff. Mostly sounds, I think, more than fashion. But there's a couple of fashion things. The side pony that girls used to wear, I think that went into. Yeah, they had a side pony.
Girls used to wear the thing at the side.
Yeah, there was a side pony. I think that went into the 90s.
Yeah,
with the big bangs in the front and then
big bangs. Yep, all that stuff.
Now it's the top knot. Or all the guys have got the top knot.
Yeah, yes, right. The guys will.
And it's one of those things where you'll get some 20-year-old walking around with a top knot, and he'll look back when he's 50. And he'll see pictures of himself when he's 20, and I think, what on earth was I doing to my hair?
It's a bit like the mullet.
It's like the mullet, when I look back to some of the stuff I used to wear, my God, I mean, really, Oh, Struth. I don't know how I, yeah. No.
Yes,
Oh,
I think we've all done that. Look at the old pictures.
absolutely.
absolutely, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
do.
Well, when is the release of the EP? When can we expect to hear it?
Yeah.
June 19th. It's on all uploads to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, just all across all platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we'll be putting out the episode a little bit after that, and then I'll be able to share some of the clips of the songs for people,
Great.
and then we can direct them to go get the music.
Fantastic.
That would be fantastic.
That sounds
Yeah.
Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your time today.
It's a pleasure.
It was brilliant.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.